Okay. What did you enjoy about Unit 10?
I didn't really enjoy it.
Okay. What didn't you enjoy then?
Oh, I just didn't enjoy how it was, in my opinion. Like, I felt it was unorganised, in the sense I thought when I was given a role, my role was just going to be, I wouldn't be doing things like putting together videos or anything like that. For example, the top 10 countdown for music video. I didn't feel like things were like that with my job, and it just kind of, it got to me a little bit. Like, I became frustrated.
Yeah, in your evaluation, I don't think I've ever read an evaluation of yours where you kind of, I don't say vent in a negative way.
Oh, yeah.
You're very open and honest and transparent, and also what you're saying, it's about bettering yourself. You're not. It's not an opportunity to slate other people. You are examining your performance, but you do seem frustrated.
Yeah, I was at my wit's end with the project, mainly because it was just like things, it kept on going wrong. Like, I was being told, like, okay, you need to put music, you need to do this and this and this for this equipment, for example, the sound equipment. And then when we went to go up and filming, it was like, there is no sound equipment. So I was just kind of like, well, what really am I supposed to be doing? And it just turned out I was just going to be mixing the soundboard. And that's like, I get it, like, I did the job that I was supposed to do, but I felt like there was a lot more I could have done.
What job would you have liked to have had?
I wouldn't really know. I liked. This is strange. Like, asking myself, like, what job I really liked, I really don't know. In the whole spec of things, like, it's maybe something around being down on the floor, actually being down there, because up there it was just like, there was like a breakdown in communication with the ground, and up there, like, no one was really taking action. We had to get on the mics and etc. just to get people to, like, come on, you need to do this.
Yeah.
I felt if I was down there, I would have been the person that would have been like, okay, we need to put this there, that there.
So maybe you would like to have been the floor manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you took pride in your role though, which is probably why you were frustrated. Like, you wanted to do good in that role, and you did. You did really well in that role, and I think in terms of distribution or delegation, although that wasn't within your role, you still were delegated, or you were taking ownership of things that needed to be done. So when things weren't going well with communication, you didn't just sit there and go, direct. You literally came downstairs, went in the studio and said, right, these need to be mic'd up, this mic hasn't been checked. Like, you were very, very proactive, which is really, really good. So it's a shame on reflection you didn't enjoy it, because to look at, you know, from observation, obviously I only see you guys once a week.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said any occasion I looked at you and thought, he's not enjoying this.
No, I can understand that. It was just like when the actual production and everything got going, that's when, like, I was getting a bit frustrated with certain things. Like, for example, I was the sound and lighting lead. Like, I had a lighting assistant. Corrie did amazing work with the lighting assistant. But when it came to sound assistant, Sean being the sound assistant, I was like, okay, Sean, like, you need to, your work is like, you're looking into microphones and what type of different microphones there are. And then from there, like, if you do that, I can then get an idea of what microphones are needed and what microphones are needed there or where. And then it just got to the point where I was pushing and pushing and pushing him, and nothing came to me. So I was just like, well...
Can you appreciate the difficulties of working in an industry now?
I can appreciate the difficulties. And, like, I understand, like, in the real world, like, that wouldn't happen. If someone's not doing their job, they're out. But I understand, like, yeah, we had a limited group of people, and we couldn't go around.
Yeah, enough people for roles. Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless of all of that, you've passed Unit 10.
Okay.
So really well done. In terms of research, I've said this several times today, but
that was
what
poor.
is live is poor. I'm glad you used that word.
I know.
It could be more detailed. Use more than one detailed source for a definition. This is not substantial enough for this stage of the course.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had difficulty when looking at that because I just didn't know where to look.
And I think the reason this has stuck out like a sore thumb, because I remember the day that you did that. I didn't, obviously I don't teach that day, but I remember seeing you guys in the corridor saying, "Are you all right?" And you were like, "I just don't know what to research." And I was like, "What do you mean you don't know what to research?" And I remember trying to explain it to you in terms of what you could look at. I think you was all looking at it very literally.
Yeah.
What is live TV and hoping for a document?
Yeah, that's kind of what we were going for. Like, other than that, it was like I did try it instead of like going for what is live TV. I was like live TV production, trying to look for like the processes of what goes into it, etc. And the only things that I really found, other than like a definition, was just a slight bit of history on like live TV.
But it's like if it says. Here you've got a live TV refers to various types of media that are broadcast without a significant delay. Other types of live broadcast include live radio, live television, live internet television. So the first thing I would have done is now you've looked at different types of media, I've been trying to find out what they are. So what on TV is live? Is it soaps? Is it factual programmes?
Okay.
Is it, so you can look at examples, okay?
Okay.
In terms of the rest of the research portfolio, great awareness of audience research. You drew detailed findings to select your scheduling time and audience demographic for your show. The discussion that you have, because yours is an audio recording with David, is the best analytical comments you have made.
Oh.
That discussion is so detailed, and you are explaining what you found out, and you're justifying, because of that, why you should select this time and why you should select this day. It was exceptionally detailed, so really, really good. There's a good analysis of existing formats, considering a range of production techniques, but you could have had greater awareness of how that linked to, I think it's up here, how that linked to your idea.
Okay.
So when you're analysing this, great analysis of what's going on in the show, but there could have been more attention to how that linked to your idea, okay? Questionnaire, again, very good analysis, linking outcomes to findings. But what am I going to say about your questionnaire?
The lack of people responding.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, okay? So you now are getting so much better and make sure everything you talk about links to your idea, whereas in the first year you struggled with that, yeah? You will really make sure this time, everything you discuss, you're telling me where you found it from. What you need to be doing more of is better planned primary research, and also the type of sources that you're using.
Okay.
So we've got lots of websites, yeah? Now we've done that essay, think about the different types of sources that you can be using, because that's what's going to stop you getting a merit and more at FMP. Okay? The type of sources you're using, checking your facts, and the profiles you are creating from your audience research. So you need to make sure that your primary research is better planned.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In terms of the planning and the production then, if we go past this segment to here. In your role, you were required to complete a sound plan, breaking down breaking the show down into sections. You produced an extensive document which lists all the sound requirements, including music, SFX, dialogue, and voiceover. The paperwork has been designed in a way where you can see each section of the show and which sounds are relevant. You have also provided information on which sounds and music need to be sourced, where they will come from, and the format they will be exported in. Work in this way is very effective as you've created a to-do list of sorts.
I thought that was my downfall. I thought that was going to be my downfall.
Tracy thought that was absolutely exceptional. She was really impressed. You were working with Corey Lovett in the completion of the lighting plans. He did the majority of the work for designing a plan for each segment, and however, you were there to support him in his role while offering feedback about lighting setup. Each lighting plan is completed to a high standard. So again, really, really well done. And like I said, you were there as a support network in other people's roles, so you weren't just your job that you had to think about, okay? In your role, you were effective, requesting microphone tests to take place before the show began, whilst confirming changes with your director, checking sound levels throughout, and you were quick to respond to directions. Another part of your role was to source and download each of the tracks required for learners to complete their individual edits. This is an area that let you down, as the tracks were still not available when editing began. Some learners did this themselves as they did not have time to wait for you.
Well, the thing is like, I did have the tracks and everything, like they were all edited together, but there was just tiny little things that were like that I had to go back and re-edit and clear up. But that took me so long. For example, like there's like I think about 5 or 6 videos up on my YouTube channel of the different edits, and what it is like I'll be like, oh yeah, this edit's completely done, and then I'll pay for it all just to check it, and then there will be like insert text here, and it was just little things like that.
And I think you care. So when you get stressed, it's because you care and you don't like letting people down. But sometimes your pace and organisation leads to letting people down. Yeah. So that day when we came back in here, you were so frustrated and annoyed because you were letting people down and you don't like that. Yeah. So FMP last year, people let you down. Yeah. This year, rely on yourself, get everything done, and make sure it's all organised. Okay. Your edit of the show itself contained some of the codes events of live TV. You were limited in what you could do with the footage, but you've managed to piece together a full-length show. There are some issues with sound, in particular static. This is not down to you, but the microphones themselves. Okay, but she's just pointed it out. So Tracy is happy that you're working to a high standard in both pre-production and production, which is working grade of merit. So really, really well done. In terms of evaluation and reflection, better detail in diaries, but please make sure the level of detail applied in your research diaries is apparent throughout.
Okay.
You start really well, because I think you remember Natalie's moaning about the diaries, get the diaries done. Keep that detail throughout, okay? And if there are occasions when, for example, in research, I think you find it easy to write a diary because you think, I found out so much today, and you kind of put how this links to your planning in your diary, which is fine. When it gets to pre-production, planning and production and post-production, you need to be thinking about your diaries more in terms of, this is what I've done today, what does that mean to the schedule? What does that mean to my idea? What have I got to do next? And if things go wrong, why did they go wrong? What was your role in that? What was other people's role in that? So what was the outcome? Most importantly, what was the process that led to that outcome? Yeah? And what are you going to do to make sure that never happens again?
Okay.
Rather than just, today we filmed, or whatever it might be. Yeah? In other words, the vent that you put in your evaluation here is the kind of vent that you'd have in each diary. Yeah? Okay. Good use of examples and identification of areas for improvement in both your pitch and overall evaluation. In terms of your overall evaluation, audio recording works exceptionally well for you.
I thought I was stumbling through my audio recording.
You apply a much greater level of detail here, and I think you should consider this as an option going forward. You have great consideration of process and outcomes. Okay. Yeah? You explain things so well. And I think sometimes when you write, you kind of write more to the point, whereas when you explain, I say go around the houses, but I mean that in a good way, because you're going through the process to the outcome. So try it for a couple of diaries or something, or try it maybe for the evaluation of this product, and then we can make a definite decision for FMP. Okay. But it worked really, really well for you for Unit 10. Maybe because you have lots to talk about. I don't know. You set specific targets regarding how you can improve, but there are some comments made where you are not. For example, work ethics and role awareness, etc. So sometimes you do say what you can do to improve. Sometimes you just say, this is something I need to do to improve. You don't tell me what or how. Okay. I put here, why were you so confused throughout the unit? Why did you struggle so much to find songs? What can you do to improve? Yeah? Yeah. Because you kind of pose all of those questions in your evaluation, but I didn't get the answers to those. Okay. Yeah? I wasn't expecting you to answer them now. Next then, we need to make sure that you're working to a very high standard, okay? And what you need to be doing in your evaluations is to do everything that you did here, process, outcomes, examples, setting targets, but then linking what you've done to professional practice. So why is what you created or what you did in your role not reflective of professional standards, or why is it? Yeah. So the end product, how does that match up to another live TV show maybe that you analysed in your research portfolio? How does you in your role, managing a team or whatever you want to call it, match up to someone else professionally in that role? So you would say, you know, personally, one of the flaws within my own performance was that on the day of editing, I wasn't able to edit because I was still sourcing. So that's a time management issue. Yeah. As you said, in industry, you'd be fired. Yeah. So make those comparisons, specific comparisons. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. In terms of presentation, everything looks just a little bit squashed. Okay. Now the reason it looks squashed is because you're not utilising research, pre-production, production, post-production. Now, someone else mentioned, I didn't do it for this unit because there'd been nothing to put on the production page, okay? But what would be nice if this was research and then on here we had a pre-production button. When I click on that, I go to pre-production. On the pre-production page, I have a production button. Click on that, go to the next one. So when I and the EV come and grade your FMP, we can go through the stages of production. Okay? I think that will make everything a lot more clearly organised, because sometimes I'm going from here to there to here, and it's a bit like it's all over the place. And as Tracy said before, she really struggles to read what's even on your website.
Yeah, I know. I realised that, and I've actually changed it for my the background.
Think about the background, yeah. So just put presentation. I think it's a bit squashed. In terms of research going forward, I've mentioned about greater use of research sources. Also critiquing your role as a researcher. So pulling apart as you're doing your evaluation. Do that in your research. So at the end of your research, don't write an overall evaluation, because now you're in the habit of doing a bit of research, evaluating, do a bit of research, evaluating. But at the end, critique your role as a researcher. So look back on your portfolio and say, right, these are the research methods I've used. This worked. This didn't work. So you would say only 5 people or whatever responded to my questionnaire, or 15 people. Moving forward, in the pre-production stage, I'm now going to do X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah? And that will make sure that your research, therefore, never stops. Okay? So, we are looking a little bit like this at the moment. So, we was here, as I said, this is obviously the graded matrix, so not everything applies to each unit, because this is FMP, but I'm just trying to say if we could place things where it would be on the FMP criteria. Research last time I was here, there's definitely elements of a high standard now. It's not consistent throughout, okay? So some of it's here, some of it's here. We want to make sure that questionnaires, Better's primary research, is going to make sure that you're consistently there. The analysis definitely is here, used to inform, support and develop ideas. You do that, okay? The other areas were planning, production and practical skills that were at a pass last time, definitely now at a high standard, which is merit, okay? And again, with the evaluations. All right, so much better compared to Unit 9, much improved. We just need to make sure that this is consistently there. All right, and then moving forward, obviously for FMP, thinking about better use of sources, independent research, use of experts, research commentary, critiquing your role as a researcher, all help you fit in there. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.